Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share a true story that happened in Brooklyn, New York back in the winter of 2018. A young guy named Alex was looking for a cheap apartment. New York rent is crazy expensive, as you all know. So when he found a studio apartment on the 6th floor of an old brick building for just $900 a month, he couldn't believe his luck.
The landlord was an old man named Mr. Miller. He was a bit strange, didn't talk much, and handed over the keys quickly. The building was old. It had a narrow hallway, flickering lights, and a very slow vintage elevator with a heavy metal door. But Alex was just happy to have his own place. For the first few days, everything was completely normal. Alex unpacked his stuff and got busy with his daily routine. But on the fourth night, around 2:30 a.m., something woke him up. It was a sound coming from right above his head, from the ceiling. It sounded like heavy footsteps. Someone was walking back and forth rapidly. Then he heard dragging sounds, like someone was pulling heavy wooden furniture across the floor. Alex stared at his ceiling, annoyed. He thought, who moves furniture at 2 a.m? He tried to sleep, but then he heard a woman crying softly. It was a low, painful sob. The noises went on for almost an hour before everything went dead silent. Alex was angry, but he was too tired to go upstairs, so he went back to sleep. The next night, the exact same thing happened. At 2:30 a.m. sharply, the heavy footsteps started again. Then, the sound of dragging, followed by the crying woman. Alex couldn't take it anymore. He needed a good night's sleep. He decided to go upstairs and talk to the neighbor face to face. He put on his jacket, walked out into the cold hallway, and pressed the elevator button. The elevator slowly came up to the 6th floor with a loud mechanical groan. Alex stepped inside. He looked at the elevator button panel. There were buttons labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Alex pressed the button for the 7th floor. The elevator moved up. It stopped, and the heavy metal doors slid open with a sharp creak. The moment Alex stepped out, the air felt freezing cold. It smelled like dust, old wet wood, and something rotten. The 7th floor hallway was completely pitch black. The light bulbs on the ceiling were broken and hanging by wires. Alex pulled out his phone and turned on the flashlight. He walked down the narrow hall, pointing his phone light at the doors. Apartment 7A, apartment 7B. When he reached apartment 7C, right above his own room, he stopped. The door was slightly open. He knocked loudly. "Hey, excuse me? Can you please keep it down? It's 3 a.m, Alex called out. No answer. Only complete silence. Alex slowly pushed the door open and pointed his flashlight inside. The apartment was totally empty. There was no furniture, no carpet, just thick layers of dust and cobwebs everywhere. Nobody was in there. Feeling extremely creeped out, Alex ran back to the elevator, went down to the 6th floor, locked his apartment door, and didn't sleep for the rest of the night.
The next morning, Alex went straight down to the building supervisor's office on the ground floor. He was furious. He knocked on the supervisor's door, and an old caretaker named Mark opened it.
Alex said, "Listen, Mark, the 7th floor, apartment 7C. Someone is playing a sick prank up there at 2 a.m. The room looks empty, but The noise is unbearable. Who lives there?"
Mark frowned and looked at Alex with a strange expression. "What are you talking about, kid?" Mark asked.
"The 7th floor, apartment 7C, Alex repeated. Mark stayed silent for a moment. Then he grabbed his coat and said, "Come outside with me."
They both stepped out onto the sidewalk in front of the building. Mark pointed his finger up toward the top of the building and said, "Count them."
Alex looked up at the building. He started counting the rows of windows from the bottom to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He stopped. He rubbed his eyes and counted again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6! There were only 6 floors! The roof of the building was right above his own 6th floor apartment.
Mark turned to Alex and said very calmly, "Kid, this building was constructed in 1920. It has always been a 6th floor building. There is no 7th floor."
Alex's blood ran cold. His hands started shaking. He pulled out his phone to check his location history, but then he remembered the elevator button panel. He ran back inside the lobby and looked closely at the elevator buttons.
There were only buttons from 1 to 6. There was no 7th floor button. Alex realized that the night before, he hadn't walked into an apartment. He had stepped out of the elevator into a place that didn't exist in our reality. He packed his bags that very afternoon, broke his lease, and never returned to Brooklyn again.